Please help put an end to copyright infringements in Hollywood. James Wan, writer of Saul, stole my story. I copyrighted a brand new story never done before in 2005, and James Wan took it in 2006 and made the motion picture Dead Silence. Watch this and you be the judge. In 2005, I wrote a brand new story about an old woman ghost. An old woman ghost being the main character had never been done before. I gave this story a brand new list of ideas, scenes, and characters, including imagery. Brand new imagery, which under the copyright law, cannot be used. People do simultaneously come up with the same ideas that are brand new, never done before. But there are so many brand new ideas, characters, and scenes that have been used in the movie Dead Silence. So many that James Wan cannot say this is just a coincidence. Furthermore, it is illegal to take a brand new story and alter it where the story still resembles the original body of work. When Dead Silence was being promoted, they promoted themselves as a brand new story never done before. I sent my manuscript off to over 100 publishing houses in 2005. In 2007, when the movie came out, I could not believe what I was seeing. If somebody steals your story, they're not going to keep the story the same. Of course not. You have the certificate. You can sue them. They're going to slightly alter the story so they can still get credit for creating the story, get paid for the story, and then just say that everything is a coincidence. Unless you have a lot of new ideas. Let me give you an example of what I mean. You remember 1980s Freddy Krueger? Okay, Freddy Krueger is a fine example. It was a brand new story about this man that haunts your dreams, and if you die in your dreams, you die in your real life. Well, you can't own that idea, so someone else could have used a regular man that came into your nightmares and killed you in your dream and you died in real life. Even a bunch of creepy children, even an old woman ghost. But if they were to change his hat into a cap and change his red stripes into red polka dots and change his 5 razored fingers into a hook where he still resembled the character, that is a copyright infringement. And just like Freddy Krueger, my main character, Susan Pale, is also a trademark character. Her last name being Pale, and that's the title of the book, Pale. James Wan. He took Susan Pale and turned her into Mary Shaw. If you become scared, Susan will choke you. If you scream, Mary Shaw will cut out your tongue. Every time Susan Pale attacks, there's a supernatural darkness. Every time Mary Shaw attacks, there's a supernatural silence. I better back up. Let me start from the beginning. Before they were a ghost. Susan Pale was an old woman pianist that lost her hands and got them back supernaturally. Mary Shaw was an old woman ventriloquist that lost her voice, then supernaturally spoke in 2 voices at the same time. Both old women ghosts have a poem that goes with their theme. The pianist her hands, ventriloquist her tongue. There's something else I want to point out. Then I'll take you through the story, the flashback scene, the present, and to the shockful ending. Is this new imagery here? Can this also be a coincidence? Let's go to the story. We'll start from the beginning to the end. 80 years ago, Susan Pale was an old woman pianist that lost her hands trying to save her baby's life. 60 years ago, Mary Shaw was an old woman ventriloquist who lost her voice trying to make her puppet baby appear alive. Susan Pale had lost her hands but got her hands back supernaturally. Mary Shaw had lost her voice but got 2 voices back supernaturally. After a little boy teases the old woman about the loss of her baby and her hands, the old woman kidnaps him. After a little boy teases the old woman about the loss of her voice and her puppet baby, the old woman kidnaps him. Since the little boy had teased the old woman pianist about the loss of her hands, she made him eat a pair of hands. Since the little boy had teased the old woman ventriloquist about the loss of her voice, she cut out his tongue. After the old woman kidnapped the little boy, she put him in a secret room below her bedroom window. After the old woman kidnapped the little boy, she put him in a secret room in her bedroom wall. When the kid had made fun of the old woman, there was only one witness. That goes on in the story, Henry Witz. When the kid made fun of the old woman, there's only one witness that goes on in the movie, Henry Walker. Henry was shocked to see that the old woman pianist had grown her hands back. Henry was shocked to see that the old woman ventriloquist had supernaturally spoken in two voices at the same time. Henry goes on 80 years later to warn the main character about the old woman ghost. Henry goes on 60 years later to warn the main character about the old woman ghost. The main character will stop into Henry's shop. Henry becomes a friendly old man ghost who runs a produce store. The main character will stop into Henry's shop. Henry becomes a friendly old man who runs the morgue. Wow, did you see the original and then the copy? What I just showed you goes far beyond any coincidence, but there's a lot more. Let's go. I might have things to do. It's 80 years later. Susan Pale is an old woman ghost who haunts the small town of Desselton. On record, this is the first story ever of an old woman ghost being the main character and killing off a small town. It's 60 years later. Mary Shaw is an old woman ghost who haunts the small town of Ravensfair. On record, this is the second story ever of an old woman ghost being the main character and killing off a small town. Susan Pale chokes people when they're scared. Mary Shaw cuts out people's tongues when they scream. Susan Pale pretends to be 8 different people that she murdered. Mary Shaw pretends to be 7 different people that she murdered. Susan Pale pretends to be 10 different children who spy on people. You find this out at the end of the story. Mary Shaw pretends to be 100 puppet children to spy on people. You find this out at the end of the story. Every time Susan Pale attacks, there's a supernatural darkness. Every time Mary Shaw attacks, there's a supernatural silence. The old woman ghost starts to taunt Dan and Mary Kunix. She lowers the lights, they become scared, and she chokes them to death. In the motion picture Dead Silence, the old woman ghost starts to taunt Lisa. She lowers the sound. She gets Lisa to scream and she cuts out her tongue. So let's make it simple. After the old woman ghost kills off the parents in mine, the wife in the movie, the main hero becomes a suspect in a murder the old woman ghost committed by a detective. Both men have light brown hair, brown beady eyes, and are white males in their 20s. Both heroes end up in a stakeout in the woods with the detectives looking for the old woman ghost. Later on, the hero is getting chased at the river in my story, the lake in the movie. The old woman ghost pulls him into the river in my story, pushes him into the lake in the movie. Now my character dies here. A new family enters the equation, the Brooks family.
James Wan.
Now he took these characters out of the story, but gave all their important scenes to Jamie Ashen, who resembles Calvin Kunix. Light brown hair, brown beady eyes, in their 20s, suspect in a murder for a crime the old woman ghost committed. Sarah goes to Henry's, gets warned about the old woman ghost. Jamie goes to Henry's, gets warned about the old woman ghost. Both Henrys were in the flashback scene when the boy made fun of the old woman and her baby / puppet baby, and the old woman kidnapped the boy and put him in a secret room under her bedroom window in mine and in the bedroom wall in the movie. Then you got the old woman ghost pretending to be a little boy in mine, Henry in the movie, and she leads the second main character into the secret room where she kept the kidnapped boy. And the second main character gets ambushed by the children/puppet children, who's really the old woman ghost, and their faces stretch. At the end, the main character is getting away, knows not to be scared in my story, knows not to scream in the movie. So in Pale, the old woman ghost pretends to be Sarah's children, and in Dead Silence, the old woman ghost pretends to be Jamie's father. And in my story, Sarah gets scared when she finds out it's really the old woman ghost. And in the movie, Jamie screams when he finds out it's really the old woman ghost. And in my story, this enables the old woman ghost to choke Sarah. And in the movie, this enables the old woman ghost to cut out Jamie's tongue. Both main characters are getting away. The old woman ghost used a family member to get mine to be scared, to get Jamie to scream. It's the same story, folks. I'm saying James Wan stole my story. There's too many coincidences. It's a brand new story, never done until I wrote it. That's the proof right there. Too many coincidences. Way too many. A lot more than what I've shown you. Due to the 15-minute uploading limit on YouTube, there's a lot more proof I wasn't able to cover. Please help put an end to copyright infringements in Hollywood. This is just another one of them stories of the rich taking from the poor. Please share this video. Thank you for watching.